Hello and welcome. My name is Ranjani Saigal, and today it is my pleasure to introduce to all of you Sri Naeem Khan Kittur from Chicago, Illinois. Welcome, Naeem, to Lokvani. Namaste.
Hello, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
It's such a pleasure. Naeem is, by profession, a functional architect at Cognizant Technology, but his passion is with the arts. And he has had an extensive training and interest in a variety of art forms, but his focus now is on sketching. He has been very kind to give his time to become an Ekal IndiArt Ambassador. Ekal Vidyalaya is an organization that brings education to over 100,000 very rural, remote villages. And we are organizing an indie art competition whereby children and adults in the US can display their artistic skills while bringing digital literacy to the rural areas and to the underprivileged children in India. Naeem, thank you so much for giving your time to this Ekal cause. So may I ask you, what motivated you? You're a functional architect, keeping quite busy at work. You have a very busy art teaching schedule as well, and creation of art schedule as well. What motivated you to give your time to become an Ekal IndiArt Ambassador?
Uh, a couple of things. One, art is always close to my heart. I've always been in and out of drawing since childhood. One cause that is very close to me that I always open my heart to is education. Ekal combined both of that through indie art, so it wasn't very difficult for me to say yes. But the connection happens to be a personal one as well. One of the members of Ekal, Manorma, is cousin sister of my wife. So she wrote me in. She likes to check on me on my artwork from every time to time. So she found that this would be a good opportunity for me to get involved, and I said yes, anything for you. So that's how I got involved in this effort.
Fantastic. And so now you are engineer by training, I assume, and now you are in the arts. So can you tell us the journey of how did it happen that an engineer became such a talented artist?
Um, uh, I I'm a self-trained artist. I haven't learned art from anyone. But I think I wish I could have. I would have probably become a better artist, if you will. But then, but engineering for me also was, I'm a mechanical engineer, so there's a lot of opportunity to display your art, design and drawing as well. So and thankfully, the school teachers that I've had, the art teachers, have always inspired me and left me with an aspiration to do more. And I was always kind of drawing and painting. I've dabbled into many art forms, calligraphy to sketching to painting, to so many things, but then kind of gravitated towards sketching more. One, because it is, as and I had kids, and then they would spill the paint and all of that, so I kind of said, okay, enough with the painting, do more with the sketching piece. And that's where I've kind of largely confined myself nowadays. And I find it very interesting to kind of display different tones and display depth in the picture through a monochrome medium. And I've learned a lot. I've seen a lot of artists. I have a few friends who are extremely good artists themselves, sketch artists. Learned from a lot from them, and that's how the journey has been. Well, engineering and art were never away from each other. I saw in one of the interviews, Nafisa ji spoke about shapes and geometrical shapes. I go with the same philosophy, right? Any organic shape, any inorganic shape, anything that is made up of simple building blocks. So I think my engineering education has given me that advantage to visualize that in forms of basic shapes, and that actually helps me day in day out to carry my work as well.
Fantastic. I completely agree with you. I think when I went to engineering school in civil engineering, draftsmanship was an important
Oh yes.
aspect of it. And I'm very art challenged. And hence, I remember it being a difficult, task for me. But again, using the pencil and the, draftsman's board was a very important aspect. And I think all builders whether it is machine builders or it is buildings, we do need to have the art. And I think it came from art and architecture, the engineering. So that is very beautiful that you said. And it was also very interesting for me to hear that you went to sketching because your kids were dropping the paint. So are your
Oh
kids
yes.
very involved in arts? Are they artists themselves? How many kids do you have? And what
Uh,
is the artistic things you share with them?
I have two. I have a daughter, Insha, age 12, son Ayan, age 7. Uh, Insha is very artistically inclined. She's a very good artist, very aspiring artist herself. Happens to be Doodle for Google winner for 2018 for the state of Illinois. I believe out of some 50,000 entries she won. So that was a very proud moment for me as a father and artist, I guess. She happened to qualify for the finals in that contest. She has a mind of her own. I would say, I'm like not being prejudiced, but she's extremely talented in what she does. Again, tries a lot of art forms. Uh, does listen to me sometimes, but then I don't want to her creativity colors. So I would always want to give her the freedom or the license to explore her artistic ability and her artistic side to it. And I help her out sometimes to kind of visualize a certain thing, but it has to be her idea, because the elation and the regret of whether that piece is successful or not has to be hers. It has to be hers alone. And I'm a serious believer in that. And I just and it's a father daughter team right now. We happen to participate in exhibitions around here. We take our artwork. Hers predominantly is more colors. Mine is more monochrome, so it contrasts well. And we do participate. And my mom was a good artist, not taught, but again. So my biggest critiques of my work are my daughter and my mom. So I'm sandwiched between them. Anything that I do first has to be kind of reviewed. Once it is okay, then it becomes a piece.
Oh,
Otherwise, it is there.
so you're blessed to be sandwiched between two very
Oh
talented
yes.
women. So no, that's only the blessed man can have that happen to him. So, that's fantastic. And so it is quite a special father-daughter relationship that you have here. And are you glad that she is into the arts? And what is that experience like to teach your daughter or share an exhibition with your daughter?
Yeah, just before COVID hit us, we kind of sent our artwork for one of the exhibitions around here. And it's very nice to participate with her, one to go through with that journey with her, right? So I haven't done exhibitions when I was that young, so it's nice to share that experience with her, to see her explore and appreciate other people's arts, and to see the details that they've gone to and accomplish that particular piece. So it's nice to see her mind develop, appreciate that, and also that the penchant that she has for learning more is very nice. Sometimes very inspiring for me. I'm a person who likes to do a lot of things, but then she is probably way ahead than me, and what she does sometimes leaves me inspired. So I teach her, but I learn from her a lot. So, and that's my motive for teaching younger people as well. I get to learn. That's my personal interest. I get to learn a lot. So
Wow. So I think every artist, a good artist always is learning, right? And from everything around you. Would you say that?
yeah, learning is life. Stagnation is death. So you learn all through your life. So you can never cease to learn. So
Wow. That is beautiful. That is beautiful. And to me, what really amazes me about your art is that there's very little use of color, and yet you're able to bring so much. I mean, it kind of reminds me of black and white photographs, which people always say are more artistic than the color pictures, or it's a
true.
different kind of art, perhaps, or the sculptures of the temple where they don't even have the white and black like you do, but just the, one color and one medium,
True.
and they're doing so much. So could you tell me what it takes to just have one color and make magic out of it?
I think it's a bit challenging. One, we do see one color, but then there are so many tones in that. You can go extremely dark, you can go a little lighter, depends on the pressure on the pencil, the lead, the kind of lead that you're using. So it does pose a challenge. And when you take pictures or see people and try to put them on paper, the biggest challenge that that I faced when I started drawing things is that because paper is a flat medium and you have only one kind of pencil to play with, the perception of depth is that much more difficult to achieve. And I think that is what I try and create with my art, the perception of depth, where something is in the foreground, something's in the background, that should appear in the way you depict your art. And for Ekal's workshop, I specifically created a piece of an organic drawing of a banana, and that's where I wanted to hopefully show the kids and everyone who participates that how does it look organically, how it can be broken down into shapes, and the perception of depth with the level of shading that you can achieve and the blending between the pencil work. So that is what I think is challenging in this uh, uh, part of drawing. And I think again, that is what keeps me glued to it.
Oh, fantastic. So to bring multi-dimension just with one color and one tool, I think that is just absolutely. When I look at the water painting, the one that I have used as a virtual background for this interview, one can feel the water moving, the energy of the object is there. So that is really spectacular. And as we were talking a little while earlier, I mean, when you see the sculptures of Belur, Halibidu and all of that, to see bubbles on
Amazing.
them is just uh,
Oh yeah.
what do you think what do you think about art in India, in ancient India? I mean, you've seen probably some of the sculptures, and do you have a comment on it as an artist? What do you think was the level of development of art in India?
Very interesting. You brought Halibudu and Belur as well, and being a Kannadiga, that's very close to my heart. And when I was in my school and my engineering school as well, I used to kind of wander off, take my bike and go to places and just sit and draw whatever I can see in front of me. I've happened to be on a lot of excursions to Belur Halibudu, and I tried kind of copying that art. But as you said, it is amazing the kind of antique architecture that we have had in our culture. The intricate carvings that we get to see in Ajanta Ellora or Belur Halibedu, the way the chariots are kind of designed, carved, and with to think of it that they did this with very limited tools at that time, and it just amazes me. It just I go over and over again to these places just to admire, and having an artistic eye, I go and admire architecture and the artwork for any place. But then the Indian art that it displays, the intricacy that it displays is just spellbinding. And I think that is a great legacy that has been kind of built. I wish we not deface all of these historical monuments and keep them intact as it is, and respect the kind of effort that has gone in there, and continue to nourish and learn from it.
That's beautiful. I remember visiting Ajanta and Ellora caves, and people said that the art was not one art piece was not created by one person. It continued
That's
over centuries,
true.
and I just couldn't understand, how one artist can leave a unfinished work finished by another one, and it just looks so
And I,
brilliant.
in
What
an
do you think
in
about that?
in an IT parlance, we always hand over project from person to person. We prepare these knowledge transition and this and that, right? And just to think of the point that you brought up, an artist to artist handing over the confidence in the other person's ability to carry out the work, the legacy that one person has left is amazing. And I had a friend in engineering college. I remember we did a sketch work together, and that was the time when Titanic movie released. We did Jack and Rose kind of a portrait. I remember I did the Rose, and that gentleman did, the friend of mine did the Jack. But it was such a good combination of two people, very confident of each other's ability, and leaving the other piece to the other person to kind of merge it, and it came out pretty good.
Wow. Maybe we should do an indie art collage with all of you artists together. That would be
Uh,
very, very interesting to see that. So, what has this indie art environment been like for all of you? I mean, I'm so excited to see all the conversations that are happening amongst the artists. Has that environment been interesting to you?
Oh yes, of course. I'm following it very closely. Thankful to all of you guys to have me as an ambassador. I'm like a kid in a candy store right now. So many amazing artists, so many art forms, and so much discussions about the way people are inspiring each other. Yesterday's workshop, a 20 odd year old girl teaching amazing art. There is so much to learn, there is so much to imbibe, there is so much to kind of give. And I've never had so much art discussions around me, and I welcome it, all the more, the more the merrier. So it's been an amazing journey for me. It's probably been 10-12 days I got involved in this, and I'm so happy. More than anything, I'm just extremely glad to be here. Again, as I said, it's my personal interest. I will always keep my eyes open to learn something, and I'm looking forward to all these workshops. And I've made a point after yesterday's workshop that I missed due to some meeting. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to block my calendar for all Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays all through August. I'm going to be there participating and learning things from people.
Fantastic, fantastic. So, could you tell us what is the value of competitions? I know that you have participated in competitions, your daughter has. As an artist, what is that value that you think there is for competitions?
Well, two school of thoughts, right? Some people do like, some people don't. I don't have a preference, but then I think competitions will, I don't know if it'll elevate the artwork that you do, but it'll definitely inculcate a spirit of competition in you, and which I think is required in today's world to kind of just the sense of competition. And it is always nice to submit an entry into a competition, because and it's extremely important for people to realize that what's more important is you participating, right? It's okay to not come out on tops, but it is a crime not to participate, and not a crime not to even have tried. So I always believe it's nice to enter competitions, but do not have expectations, right? Just go ahead and do your best, whatever best you can. If you end up kind of earning an accolade out of it, fair enough. If not, keep on participating. I think it keeps, you need something to drive you. I think contests are probably one means to kind of drive you to create better and better artwork, and to keep at it. And like everything else, art gets better. The more you practice it, you get better at it. So I think that way contests have a good purpose.
That's fantastic. Fantastic. I completely agree. I think it just pushes you to do your best, right, for that moment,
True.
and within a given framework of time also, which is, it's almost like having
Absolutely.
exams in schools, I think. So it's the same idea. And so what advice do you have for aspiring artists? Many of the South Asians parents will always tell their kids, don't learn art, and, go do engineering, which is a very good thing. You did it, I did it. But what do you think is the role of art, in people's lives, and how should they perceive it and pursue it?
Yeah, I always have a belief, whoever created this world was an artist. Just take a look around you, the trees, the fishes, the birds. I'm sure whoever created was just playing around on the canvas with a lot of color and with a lot of life, with a lot of fervor, and it just so happened to create a world. So uh, don't stop your kids from not learning art. Engineering can happen. Yeah, we all, like in India, we say, right, we first become engineers and then we try to figure out what to do with our lives. So that is so true. I understand. Can't blame our parents for pushing us to do that, but then there should be some form of art that you need to be associated, whatever it may be: dancing, singing, drawing, or painting, whatever it is. But one should have a medium of expression. And trust me, in this competitive world, you need an outlet to kind of let your focus or energy kind of go towards and create something constructive out of it. My only advice to younger people is, life is very hectic. You will end up in the competition. There's no two ways about it. You have to make a life for yourself. But ever so often, please stop and smell the flowers. They are very beautiful.
Or draw the flowers if you get a chance. Yeah, no, I think you
Yeah.
brought up a beautiful point about, God being an artist, and if you look at, I think, ancient works, there's a couple of things that always struck me about sculptures, which is that, first of all, those in those times, you know, artists did not focus just on one thing. They had multiple trainings in art. I know that the sculptures knew dance as well, because you see a lot of
Yeah.
poses there, and it was obvious they understood dance very well, and vice versa. We as dancers were told we should know painting, we should know, which of course we don't know, but the arts, if they're together, it seems like one giant creation. And I think
Yeah.
spirituality is what is the energizing force behind that art, I think so. But to your
And
point,
I guess no education is complete without art. I seriously believe in that. To that effect, I loved what Nafisa ji said. Right, imbibing art in your education, you will probably become a much more enriched person as such. So I just love that philosophy.
fantastic. Well, we really look forward to your workshop, and just how to use a single color and become a multidimensional person with that. So thank you, Naeem, for your time. Really appreciate it. And
Thank you so
God
much.
bless you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. My pleasure. Namaskar.